Universalist Association. This is a church that celebrates diversity, recognizing the strength in uniting in love our various different perspectives and talents. Know that you are welcome here, no matter where you are in your spiritual or ethical journey, who you love, what pronouns you use, whether your gender matches the gender assigned at birth, or who your ancestors are. We only ask that you join us with an open mind as we navigate life's complexities together. Here we use various sources of wisdom, science, philosophy, the world religions, arts, see the art wall that we have now, and our own personal experiences. Here we strive to be a beloved community, embracing and serving our diverse world. Today we'll celebrate and, as Reverend Rachel commented, learn a little bit more about our own congregational diversity and see where we're at today. It's been a number of years since we've done this. One of the ways that we can show that we are on a welcoming community or welcoming congregation is to make it easier for people with limited mobility or people who perhaps have more chaotic lives than some of us and arrive late to church or need to leave early from church. And how to make it easier for them to find a place to sit down. So those of us who enter the Commons first, one suggestion has been that we keep our eyes open and try to leave at least a seat, some seats here and there along the aisles or along the edges, or perhaps on the diagonal aisles that we have in the church. So make sure that there are places for people to sit and to maybe sit towards the front so that people who come late can just kind of sneak in the back without making a big deal about having to walk all the way to the front to sit down and have that walk of shame as you're late, so to speak, right? So anyway, on today it looks like people are sitting and finding places just fine, but something to keep in mind and look forward to in the future. In any event, welcome all.
And as we begin, a couple of announcements. First, at our about 15 minutes after the service ends, we will have our sermon discussion group in room 9, which is kind of directly behind, follow the hallways around. All are welcome for a chance to delve deeper into the topic. And next week we will have our special collection for the month of January. This is where we send our offering baskets out in the world to support a good and important organization in our community. And we will be supporting the Care Collective of Southwest Michigan, which provides diapers and period products to people who need them in our community. Now let us sing.
It's hard to believe in the sun, the dark of the night. It's hard to believe in the stars, bright morning light. But we all need a place we can go to learn what is real, to ponder the depths of the soul when truth is revealed. Oh, a place, this is our home, working and seeking, never alone. In this mortar and stone, windows and walls, loves of the home, heat in the cold, is read for the journey, or for the way. People love love, people love hope, people love change. It's hard to believe in peace, for ages on. It's hard to believe there is love and hate's raging strong. But for every brave soldier, a peacemaker makes her own stand. And for every soul long turned away, creates a new way. Oh, let it be you. Let it be me. Here in love's dwelling, it's hard to believe. In this mortar and stone, windows and walls, loves of the home, leading the call. It's read for the journey, or for the flame. People love love, people love hope, people love change. When a place welcomes you in, you build it, you change it, so the promise of love can begin. In this room, here in this house, the heart's open wide. Welcome in this mortar and stone, windows and walls, loves of the home, heat and the call. It's read for the journey, all for the way. People love love, people love hope, people love change. People love love, people love hope, people love change. Living out love, living out hope, living out change. Sing out for love, sing out for hope, sing out for change. And now I believe in the sun, dark of the night.
And now will Leah come up and help us light the chalice? If you're viewing this service on Zoom at home and lighting your own chalice, please comment in the chat box where your location is. Each week, we light our chalice and take time to reflect upon its meaning. And today's reading is entitled Different Yet United by Pat Urbe Lichty. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us and others that are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace.
In addition to our chalice here at People's Church, we have a lot of people who decided to be on Zoom this morning, given the weather and the roads. That makes sense. We have chalices lit on 41st and a half Street, in Matawan, Allegan, Galesburg, the Millwood neighborhood, Parkview Hills, West Main Hill, Parkview Hills, and Long Lake. What a gift it is to be together in time, even when we are not all in the same place. Now I would like to invite our children forward for a conversation and a game show, sort of. I am so glad that all of you are here with us at church today.
One of the feeling that this is gonna be a game show.
Yeah, it's kind of like a game show. So, have any of you watched a game show called Family Feud?
Yes.
Okay, a few of you know it. I bet the grown-ups probably know it better than the kids. It was a show that I would watch at home, especially when I was homesick from school, and that was back before, you could just watch anything you wanted at any given time, so you were kind of stuck with what was on TV. I know. It's a wild thing to contemplate. So the way the game show worked is there were usually two families competing against each other, and they had to think of the most common answers to a few questions, and they would get points, and whichever family could do the best job was the winner. But we're going to play as one team, and we have a few questions related to our church. So we had about 130 people take a survey, and the first question that we're going to do is, with what religious affiliation were you raised? So what kind of religion did people grow up going to in our church? You guys do you have a guess? Wiccan, maybe, yeah. What do you think? Unitarian Universalist, good guess. What about any guess?
No idea.
No idea. Okay, great. What about you? Christian, okay.
That was gonna be there.
Okay, so let's see. Survey says the number one answer was Protestant Christianity. So about half of our congregation was raised in a Protestant Christian tradition.
Okay, then I got
Then next, Catholic Christianity, about a quarter. Then Unitarian Universalism. Then none.
What?
So the math people among you will notice that
There's more than 100.
it's more than 100% because people could click as many answers as was true, because we know you're not always raised in only one tradition, right? People change and grow as they... And there was more, of course, but that's the top four answers. Next question. In addition to Unitarian Universalism, what faith traditions are or have been important to you in your faith development? What do you think people said has been important to them? What religions? You say Buddhism? Okay, what else? What do you think?
I'm thinking,
Christianity?
Christianity.
Yeah? What do you think?
That's what I
You were going to say the same one? Okay, let's see what we said for this one. So, number one, tie for number one answer, Buddhism and Protestant Christianity. Next, none. Then paganism.
What is it?
Paganism. Well, you're going to learn about paganism in your world religions class, but those are traditions that follow the cycles of the earth and find sacredness there. Okay. Next question. Why are you part of People's Church? Oh, what do you think, DeForest? Because your parents make you? Yeah. Okay.
So you can learn about religions.
So you can, yeah.
Other countries.
You can learn about other religions in other countries. What about you, Grace?
So I can.
Friends, yeah. I think if we had more kids answer, because my parents make me, probably would have been high on the survey. What do you think, kiddo?
Because we have an IE program.
For the religious education program?
Because my parents make me.
'Cause you-
So I can make friends.
Because your parents want you to make friends. Okay.
Well, I want to make friends, but also my parents make me.
Oh, okay. You want to make friends and your parents make you. Yep, that's why we could ask, people could have more than one answer. What about you?
It was closest to a non-religion church.
Closest to a non-religion church. Well, we'll unpack that later, but that's a fascinating answer. Okay, so top 5 reasons to participate in People's Church. Survey says there's again a tie, celebrating common values and community and fellowship. So being with people who believe some of the same things as you, who value some of the same things, and making friends, right? Okay, next answer. Our Unitarian Universalist values, very similar. And number 4, we have Sunday services. People like to be here on Sunday mornings. And number 5, intellectual stimulation. So you said something about learning about other things. So that's the grown-up fancy way of saying learning, I think. Yeah, intellectual stimulation.
Wait, can I get a joke?
Not right now. Okay, one final question. How have you connected and served to People's Church over the past 2 years? What, Grace, what?
I helped with the Bazaar Cafe.
You helped with the bazaar?
I basically play with babies, so.
And you play with babies?
So grown-ups can take a break.
Okay, that's great. What about you?
Donating.
Donating money, okay, yeah.
Doing morning reading with my mom and helping clean up after the bazaar.
Oh, doing morning greeting when people come in and then cleaning up after the bazaar. You guys help in so many ways. Should we see what?
Volunteering.
Volunteering. Yeah, let's see what the most common answers were. Okay, fundraising and stewardship. So that's volunteering with the bazaar, which you guys all named. That's our big event in the fall. And donating money. Yep, so you guys covered that. You guys do a lot of the most common things. Then religious growth and learning for adults. So that's all of them, which you guys don't really participate in that part so much of our church. Then what's next? Number 3, social connections. So that's things like game night and book clubs and all that good stuff.
And sleepovers.
And sleepovers, yeah. And then finally, religious education for children and youth. So that's all the people who go to your classes and who help make them happen. So it is wonderful that we have so many people who help in so many ways around here.
How about we just go to class?
Oh, how about you just go to class? You knew what we were gonna do, but there's one more slide. Everyone wins this game. Hooray! Thank you for playing. And now it is time to send you off to your classes, okay?
Go forth in peace, in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way, and may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go. Go forth in peace, in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way, and may the joy of life
I'm going to share with you all my favorite offering joke, which I've shared before, but it's good. So 3 children are together on the playground, and one of them says, "My mom is a poet, and so she writes some words scribbles some words on a piece of paper, sends it off, and someone sends her $100. And the next child says, "Well, my parent is a songwriter, so they scribble some words on a piece of paper, then write some music notes, and they send it off, and someone sends them $400. And the final child says, "My parent is a minister, and so they scribble some stuff and call it a sermon, and then people have to pass the baskets to get all that money." So we know it is about more than the scribbled sermons, but this is a time where I invite you to be generous in your continued support of this congregation. The offering will now be received.
darkest of the night. It's hard to believe in the stars and the bright morning light. Where we go, in a place we can go. How you learn what is real. We ponder the depths of the soul, where the truth might be revealed. It's mortar and stone, windows and walls, love's earthly home, leading the call. Hard to believe there's peace when this war rages on. Well, it's hard to believe there is love in hate's raging on. But for every brave soldier of peace, make a taste of our own stand. ever so long turned away. It waits in your hand. Thank you.
Please join me in reciting our words of thanks. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love which none of us can accomplish alone.
This is a community that supports one another in good times and hard times. One of the ways that we do this is we take time when we gather to lift up the joys, sorrows, and other milestones in our lives. So if you have something you would like to share with our church community, if you're with us on Zoom, I invite you to type it into the chat box. If you're here in person, I invite you to come forward, place a stone in our bowl of water, and share your name and speak briefly. I place a few more joys or stones for the joys and sorrows in our hearts that are going unspoken today, the joy and sorrow in our wider community and our wider world. Sources of reason and radiance, sources of courage and compassion, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this day. May the suffering be soothed. May the weary find rest. May the sick be tended. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. May all of us know we are wrapped in a love that surrounds us always, a web that connects us to all that exists. I invite you to join me in a few moments of silence. I invite you to join me in a meditative practice from Valerie Kaur. Place a hand on your chest. Take a slow and smooth breath. Feel your belly fill up. Keep breathing. If you can, inhale for 4 counts. Feel your full belly, and exhale for 8 counts. Feel your heart beating in your chest. You are alive, and you are here. Look around you. What is the most beautiful thing you can see right now? Notice it, its color and shape, the way the light is hitting it. Let yourself wonder at it. No matter what is happening in the wider world right now, no matter how dark or violent or cruel, this beautiful thing also exists. The world right here is just as real as the world out there. Take a few more slow and smooth breaths. Perhaps they are a little easier. And as we return and move forward, keep that beautiful thing in mind and think of who you might invite to share it with you.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
The first reading today is entitled For the Children by Gary Snyder. The rising hills, the slopes of statistics lie before us. The steep climb up of everything going up as we all go down. In the next century, or the one beyond that, they say, our valleys, pastures, we can meet there in peace if we make it. To climb these coming crests, one word for you, one word to you and your children. Stay together, learn the flowers, go lightly.
Neither Divisor Nor Divided by Julian Jamaica Soto. People are not long division problems. Their resources almost never divide evenly into their concerns, which is how we end up with remainders of fear and anger and such tentative beauty, having only recently been liberated from the imposition of thousands of inapplicable shames. People do not imagine being messy and unresolved until their broken hearts remain unmentionable. Eventually, point 3 repeating awkwardly at first and then with an intonation and rhythm meant to simulate being just fine, no problem. People are not long division problems. Their resources, you cannot, should you, meaning well, try to solve or fix them. Reminder, they will almost never come out even. What you can do is be a welcome in a wounded and suspicious world. You can recognize the person as who they are. You can assume that without the gift of their humanity, even when it is complicated, none of the sum of us can arrive at the answer of who we are meant to be, collective and whole.
I invite you to do a stretch upward. Make sure that you can breathe just fine. And we'll do some meditation on breathing. So we'll start with one part and we'll layer some parts on top. Do we have those? Perfect. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Hang on to that. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Now you. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out. Pick one. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe, breathe in, breathe out. Last time. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
When I was in college, back when I thought I would do international diplomacy when I grew up, I took a class on public opinion and foreign policy. It was about if and how American public opinion impacted what our government did abroad. And we were taught to look at polls to figure out their methodology and determine if the data is reliable. And I had largely forgotten about that class. It doesn't come up very often in my day-to-day life. But then last week, when I started looking at the results of our congregational survey, the voice of that professor, whose name I cannot remember, started ringing in my ears. Is the data reliable? Should anyone base decisions on it? And it's wild how memories can lay dormant in us, waiting for the right moment. So today, as I talk about the results of our congregational survey that we did at the end of 2024, I have to appease that professor and anyone here who's really into methodology by saying this is not a scientific survey. It was open to anyone who wanted to participate. You know, if someone really wanted to skew the data, they probably could have, although I don't think that happened. And we know it's not a representative sample, right? Our participants skewed older than our congregation as a whole. Only 4% of the respondents were under 30, and we saw a lot of people under 30 sitting on these steps a little while ago. Unsurprisingly, the people who are deeply involved in the congregation were more likely to participate, and they're overrepresented. So about 14% of the survey respondents said that they had been on the board or the nominating committee in the last 2 years, which is about double what we'd expect if it was a representative group. And there's probably other ways that it's not totally represented. So this is the massive grain of salt that we're setting here as we look at these numbers. But it's still interesting, right? So in most areas of church life, we are holding remarkably steady from the survey we did 10 years ago. In the last decade, we've all been through a lot, institutionally, individually, globally, pandemics, elections, so much change in our lives and in our congregational life together. About 45% of our church membership has joined in the past 10 years, and 50% of the survey participants had started becoming involved in the church in the last 10 years. And so it was all posed for these big shifts, I thought. And for people who sing about being people of change, there was a surprising little amount of change, which could mean we are holding fiercely to our core or all of that. I don't know exactly. But when I look at the data from the congregational survey done in 2014 and the one we did now, we are largely the same, at least on the questions that we asked. People's spiritual journeys have been most shaped by Protestant Christianity and Buddhism. That has held steady for a decade. When presented with a list of 15 possible reasons to participate in church, y'all picked the same top 5 you did 10 years ago: celebrating common values, community and fellowship, Unitarian Universalist values, Sunday services, intellectual stimulation. There are a couple of them were swapped places, but it was largely the same. We asked questions about religious orientation. Which of the 4 faiths, to use Fred Campbell's terminology, you follow? So religious naturalist, humanist, mystic, theist. 98% of you identified as a religious naturalist, someone who draws meaning and value from living as a part of the natural world. I didn't think we could get 98% of us to agree on anything. So that's a shift. It's an increase of almost 10% since the question was last asked. That's followed very closely by humanist, and just over half of you identify as a mystic, and theist is trailing behind. That ranking is the same, the order, as 10 years ago. Our racial demographics have also held steady. Over the past 10 years, we have remained about 95% white as a congregation. We are a much wider group than Kalamazoo County as a whole and Oshtemo Township, where we gather today. There are a few noteworthy changes. Our sexual orientation demographics have shifted a lot in the last few decades. In 1996, 97% of this congregation identified as heterosexual. In 2016, 86% of the people doing the survey clicked the heterosexual checkbox. And for our survey this year, we knew that we had to have a free text box because there just wasn't going to be a way for us to list all of the ways people understand their sexuality without it going on for pages and pages. And so people filled in the text box and they wrote in so many identities, including asexual, bisexual curious, don't know yet, gay, heterosexual, lesbian, pansexual, queer, straight-ish, and unknown. So we are a wide spectrum here. About 3/4 of the people who took the survey identified as straight or heterosexual. A couple of folks, perhaps our children, are in the I don't know category. And nearly 1/4 of us are somewhere under the queer umbrella in terms of our sexuality. Another shift is in religious backgrounds. You saw the survey data earlier during our Family Feud. About half of the congregation was raised in Protestant Christian traditions, and about 1 in 5 was raised Unitarian Universalist. And that is twice the number from 10 years ago, which is a significant shift, and more than just can be counted for by having more children participate in the survey this year. So I think this is important to lift up because we often tell stories in Unitarian Universalism about finding this faith and choosing this faith and coming into it from elsewhere. And that is still the majority story, of course, but it's not the only story. And it is a gift to have so many folks raised in this tradition and so many folks raised in this congregation among us. So a few more interesting data points. We ask people if they have any obstacles or barriers that keep them from participating in church as much as they would like. The biggest barrier is your own busyness, which checks out given what I know of many people's lives here. Next is physical and mental health challenges that make it harder to be engaged. And the final one is challenges because of the distance to the church or transportation. So while we can't magically move the church closer to your house so your drive is shorter, we can help with transportation. There's a team of folks in the congregation who have volunteered to drive people to church and to other important things. So please call me or call the church if that would help you overcome that barrier. We also ask people about Zoom, a thing we didn't even know to think about asking about a decade ago. About 40% of us use Zoom at least once a month for church services, programs, and meetings. About 20% of us never use Zoom, and 2% of us only participate in church life through Zoom or other technological means, never coming to the church building. I could go on, and we'll put more of this data and some analysis that I've done on the church website this week, so you can look it over. And if any of you really want to go deep, I can send you some spreadsheets, and you can do whatever magic spreadsheet stuff is, because I'm sure there's interesting stuff that could happen there, but that's beyond my skill set. My favorite part of this survey was the final question. What is a favorite memory of People's Church over the last 10 years? So I compiled many of the answers into what I'm calling a collage of voices, which people from our Sunday Services Committee and Board of Trustees will read to you now. So this is your cue to move, talkers. We asked you to tell us a favorite memory of People's Church within the last 10 years. Here are some of your answers.
Coming back in person following the pandemic and recognizing the children after they had grown and changed over 2 years plus. My first Sunday service in person was wonderful. My husband's memorial service and all the wonderful music. I went to pick up my son after he returned from the Mystic Lake retreat and witnessed them sharing a word to describe their experience. His response, together, was very significant to me. Joys and concerns, making friends. Reverend Rachel led a group on death and dying, and I was very impressed. I also appreciated the group she subsequently led on understanding transgender inclusion. I now appreciate the group she has been leading on aging. Blessing of the Animals Sundays.
My wedding. Very early in her tenure, one year we were all out singing Christmas carols, and Reverend Rachel's car got stuck in the snow as we were all leaving. I was able to help push her car out. The love service has been deeply useful to me. I also remember loving the hell out of the world with a double meaning that inspires me often with my chronic health condition. Working as a member of the committee in the Emptied Commons to receive and organize donations for incoming Afghan families. Eating Buddy's pizza when our work times included a mealtime. Getting to know new folks while making pasties and other kitchen work. Bartlett the jet pig. Teaching RE classes outside during COVID and getting creative with our curriculum. I love seeing all the kids gathered for a story in front of the church. I especially have enjoyed the Music Sundays. They are relaxing, joyous, inspiring, and build positive community connections and feelings. My Chalice Circle made participation in the September 2023 Isaac Walk a group commitment. I was proud to have our congregation and our minister, Rachel, recognized for the support we provide Isaac and the community as a whole. At an overnight with the middle school and high school youth, playing a game that one of the youth initiated and laughing harder than I have in years. The outdoor Christmas Eve service during COVID was moving to me. The Sunday, an Earth Day celebration, I believe, someone brought in a massive inflatable globe and the congregation bounced it around the commons as part of the service.
Christmas Eve service, singing and playing bells. Honestly, the day Reverend Rachel gave her very first sermon about being a hospital chaplain and was affirmed unanimously to be our minister has lived rent-free in my head since then. I also loved the poetry services and the dance party we had. Joining the church. Rachel provided a very meaningful sermon after the election with our suggestions on how to care for ourselves and our community. Spontaneously, the congregation jointly held hands in our closing song as a sign of solidarity and loving kindness. I'm just getting back to People's Church after 20-ish years, but it felt really good to have Diane, the RE director, recognize me right away and help me feel so welcomed back. Several people in the congregation introduced themselves and offered a hug or words of comfort during one of the most difficult times in my life. I find myself needing this time each Sunday. The flower service. Seeing Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in our church. Now I have to find my place. Seeing the congregation support marginalized groups. Watching the kids shine. Intentional. Glass breaking station and the Mosaic Project, which was mentioned earlier in the service. Unintentional. The Christmas Eve service, when we discovered that the reusable candles that had glass bulbs, as the younger children present proceeded to break the multiple bulbs accidentally. Peace and Nature Camp, specifically singing for the parents at the end of the week concert. The baseball theme service, when the congregation approved the new bylaws after working with the bylaws committee for 2 years, much of it during COVID.
Several times, I have invited friends or family to attend a Sunday service at People's, just to give them an idea of why this place is so important to me. And in every case, the Sunday festivities have risen to the challenge and show why I'm so proud to be a member. Young adult stuff. completing the Capitol campaign, the Peter Mayer concert. The rain garden crew used a gas-powered auger to bore holes through the clay, and they were so in sync that it looked like they were dancing as 4 people raised and lowered the loud, heavy machine. Even with the boreholes, water ponded in the rain garden, and frogs immediately took up residence. Where did they come from? Nature is amazing. At People's Church, I can be by myself. At People's Church, I can be myself, practice my best behavior, and receive the emotional support to be a happy, productive person. Loved having kids, and some adults, bring loveys for the stuffy sleepovers during COVID. Having a tradition of meeting friends to shop and have a bite to eat at the holiday bazaar. I thought the reverse service, where the adults went to specialty classes, was really fun. The way Reverend Rachel led us through the pandemic in such a way that maintained connections and fostered new ones. The Encanto service. Having my daughter dedicated. The Pride and Joy family service, when the Kittens drag group dressed as Disney princesses and performed songs from the movies. I had brought along small bills for tipping. When a gorgeous princess came out to sing tales as old as time from Beauty and the Beast, I gave some dollars to the small child in front of me to hand to the performer. She held them aloft, and as the princess leaned down gracefully to accept them, the little one said to the princess, "Your beauty."
Watching the turkey vultures in the memorial garden. Diane Melvin, the E-director, brings deep compassion, creative expression, and thought-provoking ideas in everything she touches. I'm grateful for her public vulnerability, her willingness to face hard things, and how she creates a loving and accepting atmosphere for our children. Her post-sabbatical talks are some of my favorite memories. Also, her hugs. Meeting my partner. Sermons that make new connections regarding the human experience, like the Zombie Jesus Easter sermon and Reverend Rachel's sermon on AI. Feeling welcome, seen, and accepted every time I enter the building. Meeting kind and like-minded people who seem happy to be at church. It's a true sanctuary in a hard world, and I'm grateful for that. Don't know where to start. I love this community.
Thank you to our readers, and thank you all for your wonderful responses. At this time, I invite you to rise and body your spirit one last time to sing our closing song together. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way.
lot has changed in 10 years, and a lot hasn't. This is a community that wants to learn and grow, but says intellectual stimulation, right? This is a community that values one another, that values the natural world, and that continues to work for love. So let the work continue. Let us go in peace and go in love.